My entire job comes down to one simple thing: shining light. That's literally the only reason I exist. Turns out, though, there's a spot on this planet where that whole skill set becomes completely useless. And that's exactly where we're headed today. Straight down into the ocean, all the way to the lowest point on Earth. At every stop, we'll check who actually manages to survive down there, find something to compare the depth to so the numbers don't just blur together, and most importantly, figure out whether a regular person could last even a couple of minutes, and what it would take to pull that off. And the deeper we go, the creepier the critters knocking on our porthole get.
Before we dive in, it's worth explaining how scientists actually slice up the ocean into layers. The deeper the water gets, the less sunlight makes it down there. And it's exactly that amount of light that oceanographers use to carve the whole water column into separate zones.
So we're kicking things off with the top zone. And this is where the vast majority of all marine life actually lives. Phytoplankton, coral, fish, all that colorful abundance you usually see in reef documentaries. The seafloor at this depth looks like an underwater version of a rainforest. For an average person, this is the only zone on today's tour where even a casual snorkeler could handle it. The usual limit for recreational scuba sits around 40 meters, and past that, you need some serious training. And yeah, sunlight cuts straight through the water here without any trouble. Next up is the zone where only a faint trace of sunlight still gets through. Most residents here gave up waiting for light from above a long time ago and learned to make their own. Bioluminescence serves all kinds of purposes down here. Some use it to hide, some use it to hunt, and some use it to find a date in the pitch black. This is where you find siphonophore colonies as long as a multi-story building, but no wider than a broomstick, glowing blue or red to lure prey straight into a curtain of venomous tentacles. For humans, this zone is basically a graveyard of records set right at the edge of sanity. The absolute freediving record, one single breath, all the way down to 214 meters, 702 feet, was set right at the start of this zone. A little further down, at 332 meters, sits the max depth ever reached on scuba gear. Pressure here already runs 30 times what it is on the surface, enough to crush your lungs or blow out a tank in a split second. So this is strictly no place for amateurs. And this is exactly where I officially tap out, because the locals here pump out light more efficiently than I do, and I'm just a light bulb running on batteries.
Further down starts the zone of total, absolute darkness, and life here has to ration every single calorie. The vampire squid, for instance, has basically given up on hunting altogether. It just hangs there, motionless in the dark, arms spread out and covered in sticky filaments, passively scooping up whatever organic junk drifts down from above. The viperfish nails its prey with fangs way too long for its own face, and the goblin shark gets by with 300 teeth curved inward so sharply that nothing escapes once it's caught. This is also where sperm whales and giant squid throw down in legendary fights that leave scars on the whales for life. For human technology, this is the critical pressure zone. A regular military submarine would get crushed like a soda can before it even reached this depth, so only a handful of specially reinforced deep-sea submersibles ever make it down here. As for me, at this depth, I basically turn into a bystander, and honestly, one who'd better not switch himself on, unless he wants to attract something with a mouth wider than he is tall. Next is the Abyssal Zone. This is where an endless desert of thick gray mud begins. The landscape is so barren that deep-sea sponges and corals have to lock onto scattered metal nodules just to keep from sliding across the seafloor. Interestingly enough, right at the entrance to this zone, at 3,800 meters, lies the wreck of the Titanic. For researchers, it's become a kind of eerie mile marker for depth.
You'd think nothing could possibly live down here, but nature loves proving people wrong. In the rifts where tectonic plates pull apart, magma heats the water to 400 degrees. On the surface, that water would flash into steam instantly, but the crushing pressure down here keeps it liquid. Whole ecosystems swarm around these boiling underwater vents, living off bacteria that break down toxic minerals. Pressure at this depth blows past 500 atmospheres, which is basically like stacking an elephant on every square centimeter of your body. No diving suit on Earth can handle that. The only thing that could save a person here is a capsule built out of solid, heavy-duty titanium. As for me, if I tried to work down here, my glass would shatter into dust before I even had time to blink my own filament. We're breaking past the 6,000 meter mark now, the ultra abyssal, or the Hadal zone, named after the Greek underworld. And the name fits because the locals match the vibe. The translucent, tailless snailfish officially holds the title for deepest living fish on the planet. And amphipods, the little shrimp-like critters that barely hit a centimeter in shallow water, grow here to the size of a decent-sized hot dog. And the final stop on our descent is the Mariana Trench, or more precisely, the Challenger Deep, nearly 11 kilometers straight down. If you ripped Mount Everest out of the ground and dropped it in here, there'd still be a full 2 kilometers of salt water sitting above its peak. Pressure here hits 1,100 atmospheres. For your body, that's roughly the same as having a herd of 3,000 elephants dumped on you all at once. In all of human history, only a handful of people have ever actually reached the bottom of this spot, and only in specially built vehicles that took years to design. The seafloor itself has been mapped at best a couple of percent. But here's the kicker. At this extreme depth, scientists have already managed to find an ordinary plastic bag. Turns out humanity is way better at littering the unknown than it is at actually understanding it. And there's your logical conclusion. At the darkest point on the planet, I've got absolutely zero chance of being useful. Life down here does perfectly fine without me. And as you can see, you don't need to build rockets or scan deep space to run into a world that's completely alien, hostile, and impossible to make sense of. The most terrifying alien landscape you'll ever find is waiting right here, at the bottom of your own ocean.